Greetings, everyone, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Transformation Tuesday. My name is John Bauer, and I am here with another story. Glad to share another story of another transformation, physical fitness transformation, and also not only physical fitness, but many times mindset and other things go along with it as well. And I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and watch or listen to this as we are a part of Defining Dad Bod's podcast. I'm glad to be a part of that, and I am glad to have the opportunity today to interview Aaron Feagan. Hello, Aaron. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Aaron, I always like to have my guests start out very simply by giving us just a little bit of background of where they're at location-wise, family, and what you do for kind of for your past, well, not for pastime, but what you do for a living more. So if you want to go ahead and do that, and then we'll jump more into your story.
Sure. My name's Aaron Feagan. I live in Dallas, Texas. Married, wife, would be 19 years this June. 2 kids, both daughters, 14 and 10. I'm in work in commercial real estate, doing commercial real estate asset management, desk job, mostly on the phone with attorneys and accountants and pushing paper around day to day. That's the quick and dirty on.
That's all us attorneys do is make everybody else push a lot of paper. That's what we like to do for fun in our spare time is figure out how we can make everybody else do as much paperwork as possible and make it easier on us. So, but we're glad to have you. And your story, like so many, is a little bit different. This is not. We did an interview a couple of weeks ago, or actually last week, of a gentleman who literally cut himself in half. He went from 500 pounds down to about 250 pounds. And not as drastic of a story, but I think what your story emphasizes a little bit is the fact that fitness comes in a lot of different forms. I think a lot of people, when we talk about transformations or we talk about fitness, we just kind of presume it's going to be a huge weight loss story. And that's not always the case. And there's a lot of different things to fitness. There are a lot of different things to health. So I think your story will kind of balance that out a little bit and just remind people that fitness looks different for everybody. So I would love to have you just go back and start. We always kind of jump back into your childhood. I feel like I'm putting people on the couch when I ask them this question, but tell us a little bit about your childhood as far as activity, as far as nutrition. I mean, how much of a priority in your household when you were a kid was being active or being healthy or eating well or things like that?
Sure. When I was a kid, I didn't play a lot of sports. I was kind of a small kid, so I didn't enjoy doing that. I just shied away from it, but I did play outside quite a bit, typically in the green belt near my house. It was fairly large, and we ran around and shot BB guns and rode bikes and did that kind of thing. So I was very active. We ate as a family probably every night. So, we had home cooked food that my mother prepared, and it was, generally nutritious and, met all the 4 food groups. I wouldn't say we ate fast food or, junky in any way. She was very conscious of that, but, through younger years was like that. And then in high school, I was in marching band, which was a little more active, but
yes,
still really no sports. And I didn't really grow till my current size till after I graduated from high school. So I'm 5'10" now.
And so for you had an active lifestyle. What was the fitness struggle that you found to be difficult for you? And at what point in life did you kind of notice that change, that fitness was becoming more and more of an issue for you?
I mean, I would say when I started working, in high school, I turned 16. I've worked since then. I probably did less. And then in college, going to school, I did even less. And then graduating and getting a job, I did even less. Married at 25, kids at 30. It just kind of all takes a back seat to your things. I wouldn't say I was physically fit or super active before now, but it's all kind of the sedentary lifestyle from that just built and built and built until I think I kind of hit a wall or a point where I think physically and mentally I'd had enough and wanted the change, and went out there and got it.
Was there something in particular that that kind of you hit? I mean, you talk about hitting the wall. Was there something in particular that kind of that watershed moment? I mean, a lot of people have a watershed moment. I've told my story where I remember when I had my first kid. She's 16 now, and when I had her at home and she was a baby, and I was trying to picture myself, and she was really small, and I was really big, and that was kind of my watershed moment where I kind of looked and thought, I can't keep going down this road. That was the point where I said it's got to change.
I'd say my watershed moment was probably the fall of 2017. I was having a kind of number of stomach issues that I tried to ignore. I really didn't tell anybody about. I just kept putting it off, ignoring it, and eventually kind of gnawing in the back of my mind. I thought, it's probably stomach cancer or something like that, and I didn't want to deal with it. Eventually got to the point where it hurt a lot, and it was, I'd say, impacting my quality of life. I was kind of grumpy and grouchy all the time, and still not telling anyone what was going on. And so I finally got scared enough to make a doctor's appointment and go see a specialist. Upon kind of explaining what I was going through, he said, I don't think it's cancer, but we'll check all that. So he, listened to me and did some initial tests and said, all right, I think it's this. And he said, there's two choices. You can either do drugs or diet. And I chose diet. And so the diet was initially kind of a hardcore elimination diet. And then you slowly kind of add foods back to figure out what you react to and what you can eat. It's called low FODMAP, FODMAP, if anybody ever wanted to look it up. But so I did that. And at the same time, I kind of felt like I got maybe a second chance and joined the gym. I started the day after Christmas. It was my first time in a gym pretty much ever. I had a friend from work, Kyle, who's worked out quite a bit, who spent 4 hours up there with me, I think the first weekend, kind of just showing me how things worked. And then I just went from there, going to the gym kind of a lot. But it started making sense and working. The diet made a huge difference. What I had was just irritable bowel syndrome, but I had the C instead of the D, which means, I would just stop. I mean, I was not going to the restroom for long periods of time, and that's not good for your body. And so,
Yeah.
So once that was fixed and I was symptom free and could start figuring out, what to eat and what not to eat, and working out, I started feeling a lot better. The gym was kind of daunting at first. I didn't know what to do. I would stay on machines and cardio machines and kind of watch people that I thought looked like I wanted to look like, or, had the results I wanted to get, and saw what they did. That went on for several months. And then finally I, found some plan online from, I don't remember what group, but I started doing that 6 days a week. And it was just very specific, what you do every day, and started having really good results. So, by June, when it was time to go to the pool, I had lost close to 40 pounds from where I started in that prior fall. So I was pretty happy with myself then. It's kind of just continued from there. I started running. When I started running at the gym on the treadmill, I couldn't run a mile, without stopping and walking. I'm currently training for a half marathon at the end of April. And so, I did our long run, 8 miles on Saturday easily. Could have gone longer, but that wasn't the plan for this week. So that's where we are. So now I have to run 3 days a week now, which I typically was running Tuesdays and Fridays. I'd go for 5 miles each, but then gym workouts were generally 6 to 7 days a week. I'd try to take a rest day, but I typically don't like to. So I'd find something kind of semi-active to do to stay busy, keep going. One of the things I think helps my story or goes with it is part of the diet when I had to change was you had to give up alcohol. It's part of the elimination diet, and in doing that, I kind of had to have I guess, a heart to heart with myself, and I realized I'd probably, if not, I didn't drink every day, but I probably drank weekly for the past 25 years, and so had to quit cold turkey with the elimination diet, and then in that first month, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna do it for the whole year and see how that goes. And so I did. So all of last year I was alcohol free, and I'll probably just continue that. I don't see the point in adding it back. I've gotten it out. So I think that made a huge difference, at least in my health and definitely my mental health and just general well-being. It's for your stomach, it's bad, it's inflammatory, and it doesn't do you any favors. And
Right. It's a lot of information there, and that's
yeah.
great. Yeah, no, it's perfect. It's a good overview. I do want to go back in a couple of things. You get this diagnosis, you said, back in 2017. Is that right?
Yeah, December.
Okay. And it was just like an irritable bowel was the diagnosis. Okay.
Right.
And so the first lesson there is don't Google medical stuff, because you're gonna figure out it's always a lot worse.
Yeah, it's cancer.
yeah, exactly. What was kind of go through, if you would though, kind of go through a little bit of the things that you did eliminate, and kind of walk through that. And I'm sure that some of those were probably a little bit harder to eliminate than others. I'd just be curious to kind of know, what you eliminated, how you added it back in, and what the difficult things were to eliminate, and maybe some of the things easier, some of the things that were harder.
Sure. So the FODMAP is all about the carb chains and how your body processes them, and which type they are, and what they do when they reach your stomach and react with bacteria and cause inflammation. So at first, you kind of eliminate all the high FODMAP foods, and there's a list. It's a lot of stuff you would think of, like dairy, wheat. It's no protein other than like dried beans are a high FODMAP food, but no animal protein. Most dairy, sugar, high fructose corn syrup, just a lot of the processed stuff we eat has stuff in it that's inflammatory. There's a lot of fruit that, like apples and pears and that family of things, that you eliminate. Vegetable wise, I think most vegetables are safe. It's really just the sugary things and starchy things that end up being a problem. So, initially to eliminate all that, you eat a lot of leafy greens. I mean, they encourage that. That's very good for you, and it's good for your stomach. And I guess they call it prebiotics to help your stomach and digestion and fiber. And so, I ate a lot of that. I've always liked salad, so that wasn't a problem. But, I did give up dairy and wheat and all that. So pizza was off the table. Any kind of junk food was hard to eat just because I didn't know what was in it. So I didn't eat out a whole lot, or especially fast food restaurants were better, but you still have to, search the menu to figure out what's safe.
Right.
Now I'm pretty much down to the things I'm confident I can't eat are like not raw dairy, but new dairy. So I can eat hard cheese, but new cheese like cream cheese or milk or ice cream or anything like that upsets my stomach. When I say it upsets my stomach, it causes pain and it gives me an issue, and it's like a hangover, and that it takes a couple days for me to eat correctly again and get it back where it was. Otherwise, it goes back to where I started. And so, and two weird things that are on this list of stuff you have to watch are garlic and onions. And so those are definitely two foods that I can't eat. I typically react fairly quickly if something has garlic in it with indigestion, and then I know the next day that I've eaten it because it's a problem. So it's just a weird carb that I don't process that causes a problem.
So is it basically that you found that it was something with the way your body was processing these things? Is that basically what it boiled down to for you? That you eliminated these things and the symptoms of that bowel syndrome got better?
Yes, it has to do with your gut bacteria and what you feed it. And so you basically starve it by not feeding it the things that feed the bad bacteria that cause the inflammation.
Okay. And is it something that and you may or may not know the answer to this, but is that something that's consistent across all people, or is it much more individual? It's more individualized.
Individualized, yeah.
Okay. Okay. What was the hardest thing to eliminate?
I would say pizza, because we ate it fairly often. Kids love it, and it's easy, quick go-to. But 3 things there that I can't eat or wouldn't eat at the time. I'll eat bread now, but I typically try to avoid it just for more caloric reasons than anything like that. But the pizza sauce is going to have garlic in it, and the mozzarella cheese is too new, and it's going to be an issue.
Okay. What was the best thing that you had to give up? I mean, other than the alcohol, which obviously it was a different thing. I mean, that was that normal thing. I mean, one of the things that you had that you were just like, this is great. I don't have to eat this anymore.
I don't know. I mean, I guess hamburgers. I mean, I've never been a hamburger fan, and now I have the perfect reason to say I don't want to eat that. There's
yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not a foodie, so it wasn't really that hard to, give up certain things. I mean, I ate the same things for breakfast almost every day and easily for lunch. And so I'm a creature of habit. So it's not, the food wise was, figuring out what to eat, but giving something up and wasn't too hard.
When you gave things up and then slowly would reincorporate things into your diet, how long did you have to go between adding something, like between, maybe flour or animal protein or something like that? I mean, did you have to wait a certain period of time to see if the next thing was the thing that would cause a symptom again, or how did that work?
Usually about a week. I mean, you eat it once, see if you react to it, give it a day, eat it again, maybe eat more, maybe eat it in a different way, like cooked versus raw versus cooked, and still okay, then, wait another day and eat it the 3rd day.
Yeah.
Then if it doesn't cause a problem and that's the only thing you've introduced that week, then it's probably safe. And then the other foods in that group are probably safe. And so you can kind of try those along with it. But that's kind of just the trial and error that goes with it.
Right. And how long did you, I mean, are you at a point now where you're pretty consistent with what you eat and you're not adding more things, or are you still kind of working through the list of things?
I'm fairly consistent. There are things that I've cut that's the other thing. This isn't, your body changes. And so what used to be a problem before could, so you could eat small amounts of it now every once in a while, and it's not going to be a problem. There's also stacking where, there are, FODMAPs and other foods that you can eat together, and that's too much, but in small amounts individually, it's fine. That's what's complicated about it. But, really like today, I haven't had beans in a long time, and I know, they're good for you, but, so I thought, okay, I'll try them. So when I went to this Chipotle type place, I had black beans in my bowl. And so far I'm fine. I'll see how it goes and maybe eat them again later in the week. But if it's fine, then I'll continue to eat them. But if not, then I'll just continue to cut them out. And
you mentioned specifically at one point that you had cut out animal proteins. Where are you?
I'm not. No, animal protein's fine. I eat.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you had cut that out. Okay.
No, it would be hard if I didn't eat that, because I don't. There's not enough food choices.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because you talked about the beans being a difficulty at times and things like that.
Proteins are not an issue.
Okay. So what does a normal day or couple of days as far as your diet look like now?
For breakfast, I either eat oatmeal or a smoothie. My smoothie is typically kale, kefir, pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, fruit, banana, and then protein powder. It ends up being, I did the math once, it's like 700 calories. But and then oatmeal is just typically oatmeal, nuts, and fruit in that. Lunch, I try to make it, it's typically salad or, you know, chicken that I've made at home with some kind of carb and, you know, salad with that generally. And then dinner at night is, we generally cook at home most nights of the week, but it's, yeah, we eat fairly healthy. You know, a lot of grilled meat, roasted vegetables, fresh stuff. We don't typically buy processed food. So, you know, it's all kind of perishable. You buy and eat that week.
Yeah. Pretty consistent from day to day.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Um, and when you started this, you mentioned a little bit about losing some weight. Where were you at weight wise when you started this?
210.
Okay. And so you've lost about 40.
I've lost 45 now.
Okay.
Then a 165.
Okay. And is that where a good spot where you want to be, or I mean, is it something you feel like you need to get more, or how's that feeling?
No, I think I'm in a good spot. I think if I was any thinner, I would look too thin. I mean, I like how I look now. So, I mean, I'm actually like to add more muscle weight and just, you know, put some back. But I'm comfortable weight wise.
Uh-huh. And so then that segues real good. Let's talk a little bit about the gym. You said you'd never been to a gym before, and it sounds like you started a lot of the same place that a lot of people started, and fortunately you had somebody who really kind of showed you the ropes as to make it a lot easier for you to get moving forward. Have you found that that's kind of your thing for fitness, or are you finding now that maybe the running is the thing for you, or are you finding something that's kind of your definition of what fitness is?
I really, really like the gym. I mean, I like the running. I kind of signed up for the marathon just as a bucket list thing to do, to say, or the half marathon, to say I've done it. I'll
Yeah.
consider doing a full after I've done the half, but I'll baby steps. So one of the things kind of in training for the marathon or half that I don't like is I'm going to have to give up gym time. Because I really like to, I mean, I really like to go. You can ask my family. I plan, you know, my weekends and stuff around, you know, when I'm going to fit it in to their things. So I've always got to know what's going on. But, you know, I kind of lost my train of thought. I think it's become kind of a way to handle stress, too. And so it's kind of just been a habit. If I don't go, I feel like I'm missing something. Or could you take him out? And okay, whatever. And so I don't know. I find it important to go. You know, when I say I didn't, I would watch people. I watched a lot of YouTube videos to learn how to do stuff. Instagram accounts that show you how to do exercises correctly. You know, just figuring it out. But I did figure out early on that nobody there is really paying attention to what you're doing. And so that apprehension that a lot of people feel, you shouldn't, because I mean, people are focused on their own thing and they're really not looking.
Yeah, that's a really important thing, and I've talked with a lot of people about that, is that struggle of the first few steps in the gym, and yeah, and realizing that you get in there and you think that everybody's watching the new guy, and
Right.
that everybody's watching the new guy, and honestly, nobody's watching the new guy. I mean, most people, if they're watching the new guy, they're glad to see a new guy in the gym, to be very honest. But honestly, you get people in there, the highest of extroverts, and give them a pair of headphones and some weights, and they're completely oblivious to anything that's going on around them for a couple of hours. So yeah, I mean, that's definitely the case. And the half marathon, you think a marathon is in your future?
I probably, just to say I've done it. I mean, I don't know. I've heard both people say, it's a lot of time. I mean, to build up to that 26.2 hours on Saturdays on those long runs. I mean, I'll have to see. I don't know. That's to
Yeah.
build up. That's a lot of distance.
You said that one of the things that you talked about was the fact that you really kind of planned your weekends around getting your gym time in when you can with your family schedule and things like that. Has that been a difficulty or a challenge at all for your family? I mean, somebody who never went to the gym to find that and do that. Did you find that to be a difficulty, or did the rest of your family adapt relatively easily?
I think they found it to be kind of an annoyance at first. I think they're probably used to it now. I try to do it when it's the least impactful to everybody. Like tonight, I'll go after 9 o'clock, after everybody's kind of wound down. The kids have done with homework and supposed to be in bed. My wife's doing whatever she's doing, and I'll go, knock out an hour after that. On the weekends, I'm typically there at 8 when it opens because nobody here is doing anything yet. So I can go, generally 8 to 10 and, do what I want to do and come home and bring donuts or make breakfast, and everybody's just now getting out of bed. So
yeah,
it worked, but yeah, it was different at first, but I think they're all used to it now.
that's great. So I guess to kind of wrap things up, do you have any, one thing I was going to ask you before we wrap things up, the diet that you went on, and I mean, we have a lot of people talk about going on diets to lose weight. From your experience with this diet, this sounds like it's much more of a diet that is geared towards dealing with some issues, specifically gut issues that you talked about. If someone were considering a diet to quote unquote lose weight, is this something that you would encourage them to consider or not consider? Because it seems to be a very radical way of going about dieting.
Yeah, I say it's a lifestyle diet, not really a fad diet. And I hate to say fad diet, but I think a lot of what we hear, I'm not going to say names, but it's kind of the end thing now. And I don't think you can sustainably live like that. They say not to do it for weight loss. I mean, it's drastic and it's hard, and there's no point to it. I mean, I just eat really clean, low sugar, low fat. I eat carbs. I just don't eat junky carbs. I eat plenty of meat, eggs and stuff like that. So, I mean, and fat's not an issue. It's clean stuff.
Yeah.
But I tell people, if you want to copy me, just cut out all the white food out of your diet, and, no sugar, no dairy, no white flour, no alcohol, and you're pretty close to what I eat. And
yeah. Any advice for anyone or encouragement for anyone who is considering, I mean, and we talked about the fact that it's not a huge amount of weight that you lost, but it certainly has made a difference in your life, getting in shape, the shape that you're in now. Is it something where, I mean, what advice would you have for somebody who's not, drastically overweight or something like that, as far as, how to figure out when you need to consider, just fine tuning things?
I mean, 45 pounds, I don't think it's drastically overweight.
Right.
I think it looked drastic to a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people thought I was sick at first because it really fell off so fast. But I mean, my doctor, every time I would go, would tell me, oh, you need to lose 25% of what you're carrying, or 20%. And just, yeah, whatever. But I'd say for health reasons was the biggest. I mean, I had high cholesterol and high blood pressure and those issues before. So I was 255 cholesterol
Oh, wow.
before. And I think the last time I donated blood and they checked it, it was down to 150. And that's with no meds. That's just diet and exercise. So, I mean, I'm genetically high cholesterol. So, even with eating clean. It just takes extra effort to get it down that low. But I guess, kind of feeling as bad as I did, and then, starting to work out and getting to where I am now, it's a new lease on life. I feel better now than I have in years. I'm probably in the best health of my life. I'm more physically fit than I ever was. I couldn't lift the amount of weight now that I could probably in college or 20s. I just didn't do it. I never ran before now. And so here I am 44, and, I'm knocking out 8 miles at a, 9:30 pace, where we're talking the whole way, not huffing and puffing, and could have done more, but it's just, what we needed to do that day. If anybody just get the weight off, I think I look a whole lot better. I'm happier. I'm healthier. It wasn't hard. It just took effort.
Right.
Planning. It definitely, I think, improves your mental health when you're in, I feel like in this good place now versus where I was before, for multiple reasons. But I don't know, I'm answering your question or just rambling.
Yeah, no, it's great. And I think the last thing you said is a really important thing. You talk about the fact that it does affect your mental health. And I think that it's a very holistic thing. We kind of repeat that over and over, is as guys have gotten in shape and have lost weight or gotten healthier muscle wise, or trained for different things. It really is a clarifying, kind of a concept for them mentally. It helps clear up that fog. It's like you're coming out of a fog, is a way I've heard a lot of guys, and it was that for me as well. And so I think that's a very important thing. And in turn, you're able to be a lot more for everybody else that's depending on you, wife, kids, work, whatever it is. You're able to do a lot more. So, hey, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. And keep us posted on how things go. Good luck on the half. You said that's in April?
Yep, April 27th.
Okay, great. You got 8 miles in. You're well on your way. So,
yep.
So thanks a lot.
I appreciate it.
Okay.